What's up, everyone, and welcome to the Spectrum Show. My name is Spencer, and this is Preston, not Max, and we are back for another exciting episode for all of you.
That's correct, Spence. In this episode, we'll be doing an extended spectrum of opinions discussion on the film that came out just a couple weeks ago at the time of this recording, and we'll also talk about some announcements regarding the franchise of that film that's a part of.
Also, we noticed that our editor gave, in the last episode, our average score for the ranked segment and not a listed score. So we'll be sure to put a PDF of the ranked list entries in the YouTube description for all of you to look at, if you so desire to do so, of course.
We also have made the decision not to do Spectrum Wheel until the beginning of Season 1. So be sure to stay tuned for updates on that. But in the meantime, we're going to take a quick break, and we will begin the show with our first half of our Spectrum of Opinions discussion.
Don't go anywhere. The Spectrum Show will be right back.
And we're back, everyone. We are the cast of the Spectrum Show, and it is time for another round of Spectrum of Opinions. Today we'll be talking about the recently released film of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. It is also worth noting that much like our discussion of the Super Mario Bros. Movie, there will be spoilers, so keep that in mind. So, that being said, what do you think about the film, Spencer?
I thought this film was James Gunn's magnum opus.
Well, yeah, but it was also his final with Marvel in its entirety.
You're absolutely correct on that, and I think that kind of pursued him to make this film, and this film really had a lot going for it, honestly.
Like a signature fight scene where it's like one clean flowing shot, or that's what it appeared to be.
Yeah, an incredible cast for our final time with some of these characters.
Yeah, and especially seeing the new cast and seeing the new team and seeing what it could be for upcoming movies and or TV series is down the road.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later, of course. But
yeah.
But I think we need to start with where every movie starts, with a story.
Yeah.
So do you want to tell them about the story of this film?
So pretty much the story is kind of meaning that we start out with being nowhere, aka planet, where it was pretty much trash. It was like the black market of space.
Previously owned by a character called the Collector, and the Guardians actually purchased it off of him in the holiday special, which you can watch on Disney Plus if you have that, of course.
And in that movie, we also learn that Mantis is Star-Lord's brother through Ego, who we meet in the second movie.
It's pretty crazy, and I don't think anyone saw that one coming, honestly.
I didn't, at least.
Well, you and me both, but honestly. This is really a movie about Rocket. This is really a movie about Rocket, his origin.
Yeah, but he was also not in it as much because he was dead, you can say.
Well, I wouldn't say dead, but just brutally injured for sure.
Yeah. But at the same time, we learned a lot about Rocket, but I wish that they promoted Star-Lord and the people that are not coming back a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because that left a lot of speculation of having, when I came into it, I thought that Drax and Rocket were going to die in that movie.
Yeah, and I just want to say this right now. This film has a big comparison to Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, which came out in February. It's that no good guys actually died in this one, which is... Yeah. Why? First off, I'm not complaining, of course. I like happy endings, but it just doesn't make sense. And my theory is I think they're saving the death toll to really rack up for the next Avengers film.
Well, yeah, because isn't that what they did with Endgame? Like when they
and
first
Infinity
started,
War too.
Yeah, they started just with no deaths in the day-to-day movie.
And then Quicksilver got killed in Age of Ultron.
Quicksilver, yes. But then that was the first actual
major hero death.
Not major hero because he was still a growing character.
But a hero death regardless.
Exactly, a heroic death because he was saving a kid and took how many bullets?
And I don't know.
Countless?
I don't know, but still. And they were all saying that Hawkeye was going to be the one to die, and then it was Quicksilver out of freaking nowhere.
Really? I didn't know that.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm surprised by that, actually, but I feel like I told you it once. But anyway, and then Infinity War comes around, kills every freaking person.
Well, technically they were dusted away and came back at Endgame.
Well,
but the only really
technically they're dead.
death toll that we physically saw that was brutal for us was Vision's, because he was not coming back regardless.
And Gamora.
Vision and Gamora were the only two characters that did not come back during the Endgame finale.
And then Endgame, we lost Black Widow and Iron Man, obviously.
Black Widow, Iron Man, and maybe even, it's
Cap.
up to speculation, but Captain America,
Yeah.
maybe. But again,
as in Steve Rogers, not Sam Wilson.
yeah. But at the same time, back to the movie, how do you think that cinematically, how do you think it went? Did it work more of a streaming movie, which is more fast-paced, better
I think
camera work, or do you think it's better for theaters in terms of big screen blowing up?
I think it's better for the big screen because the previous two Guardians films were big screen as well. But honestly, I think this is just an incredible film, and visually it's stunning compared to all the. I mean,
Yes.
Ant-Man was really cool at times visually, but this just blows out of the water for sure.
Well, yeah, because you see all these new colors, you see this yellow, not this yellow, but
Gold.
you see this goldish color, and you also see this nice new white that we kind of saw during Ego's time, letting you know that it's still a planet. I actually think just now that when Marvel was making Ego, they knew he wanted to have everything around him be living, be one natural organism. And we saw those kinds of colors again in that place. I don't remember the name of it, but
Nowhere.
not nowhere.
Oh, the
the
other
living
Earth,
planet.
other Earth place, yeah.
Not the other Earth place. I mean the place where they
The bio.
the
biological
place, biological place. Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. This place where in the colorful spacesuits. That scene.
Yeah, that scene. Did you notice that too? In terms of
I guess
colors and base stuff like that.
Come to think of it, it does make a little bit of sense now, honestly, because
Yeah, because those two are the numbers to know hey, this is what the colors are for living planets. How we best represent the connection and keep the the watcher know that it's still a living planet at the end of the day.
Yeah, and speaking of connections, we need to talk about the characters, I think.
Yes,
Because
definitely.
this is they are the heart of this movie. They are the family of this movie.
Yes.
And this thing would not have started
Yes.
without Star-Lord, played by Chris Pratt himself.
But when we first saw him, he was getting very drunk. He was not doing so well.
Yeah, and
But also interesting fact about that, in the trailer, I might add, he actually was carried out by Nebula.
Yeah.
That was actually a 35-pound doll that was very lookalike to Chris Pratt
Really?
character. Yes, because the actress who played her or played Nebula,
Oh, Karen Gillan.
yeah, she could not get too buff for this movie or get her arms big enough
Yeah.
or to hold that weight. So what they ended up doing is getting a 35-pound doll and just carry that instead of having 100-something pounds, 200 pounds on her arms for 20 or 30 takes.
True. I guess that is a good point. And I will say this about Nebula, she got upgraded a little bit with her arm. It's now kind of like
Nanotechy, yeah.
Yeah, nanotechy. Yeah.
But do you think they used Bucky's arm from when
the holiday special?
Holiday Special to make that? Or
No,
do you
'cause-
think
no,
it
'cause
was
they, no, 'cause they
more
gave it
Tony
to
Stark?
Rocket. That's the thing.
Yeah, but Rocket said, Nebula said in the movie that he made me all these new upgrades, including her arm.
Oh, I didn't even think of that.
So you think it was possible that could be what she meant by upgrades?
Possibly. I mean, I'd have to think about it a little bit more, but I'll have to rewatch this and maybe think about it. But now let's talk about our next. Of Nebula, we need to talk about Gamora, of course, played by
Her
Zoe
sister.
Saldana. Her sister, yeah, played by Zoe Saldana.
Yeah, do you think her character if she did not go through the first two movies, like she did, do you think at the end of the day she would still become a Ravager and the leader with Yondu?
That's a big thing actually, because she is now a Ravager, which is where Star-Lord is initially from.
But also, she took over Yondu's job. So do you think
That's right.
do you think that if Gamora was never there, do you think that would have impacted Yondu's life, which would impact hers as well?
I'm not sure actually.
Why are you not sure about that?
Because I'm not. I'm not sure because I don't really think about these things that deeply.
Yeah.
I guess, but But moving on to another, I guess you could say, green person, Drax, played by Dave Bautista. He is nailed in this film. I will say this: everyone thought he was gonna die.
Well, yeah, because he promoted on Twitter that it was gonna be his last movie with Marvel, and on top of that, there's already been speculations with like Matt Pat, other YouTubers, saying that like previously in other movies they've had whatever the color of their logo is would be whoever best represents that would die. Like in the first movie, you'd see like this wooden kind of what I thought of rustic
like
previously
Groot,
would be like Groot Senior, which would become Baby Groot later in the series.
And now he's back to regular Groot now.
Yeah, and King Groot, technically speaking, because of the head.
Yeah, I guess you could say that.
At the same time, like in the second movie, you see Yondu's colors mainly pop up, and he died.
True, yeah.
So what was stopping Marvel, or like stopping the designers of the logos to have that change so drastically?
I don't know actually. I think
pun not intended, by the way. Drastically.
But I will say, I think they wanted to save the deaths for the next Avengers film, which we'll get to in a moment. But I honestly think that I'm as shocked that no one died, honestly. But because I think also Zoe Saldana is also done as well, alongside Dave Bautista.
Well, yeah.
But you never know. Like I said, the Avengers could dump a whole bunch of money on them, saying like, "Can you come back for a little scene? We'll kill you off then."
Yeah, but at the same time, like she had her send off with the Ravengers. It was not like they're villain. They're not villains, but like they're
anti-heroes.
They're anti-heroes. They're not gonna like come back and help the Avengers, who are like all goody. Like we have a freaking Captain America who is all about changing kind of the looks of. If you ever see like the Captain America Winter Soldier and that kind of thing, you notice that he, in that infamous speech that I love so dearly, it seems like he's trying to change people's perspectives from looking at a person with who's white, blonde hair, blue eyes, from that kind of perspective, to someone more like black, like more racial acceptance wise. But I digress.
Yeah, yes, of course. But we need to talk about the real heart of this film before we get to our new characters.
Yes.
Rocket Raccoon, played by Bradley Cooper, and also, of course, the sidekick Groot, played by Vin Diesel.
Yep.
But Rocket's more important here.
Yes.
Or because he took a hell of a beating in this film.
Well, in the first part, yes. In the same part, he looked more badass than anything we've seen before, really.
And I will say that we learned a lot about his origin, and it's awful, honestly. Not saying the story is awful, but like, it's just heartbreaking.
Yeah, because he was literally he was originally trash. That's who we like grew up to. And he was supposed to be like
a savior.
Used once, savior of all, then be thrown out, being washed out after all this time because of just like how he created it so well and so easily.
And all that is because of one individual, the High Evolutionary, played by Chukwudi Iwuji, who you might know from Peacemaker, but I digress. But yeah, he was an incredible villain, comparable to Kang the Conqueror from Ant-Man Quantumania.
Yeah, because like you see the similar causes, like you see like him trying to
here's the
take
thing.
over the world.
Well, Kang would want to take over the world.
He's trying to wipe.
Wuji's high evolutionary. He wanted to perfect it, if you will.
Yeah, but if you translate perfection into what is
High
also known
evolutionary
as
wanted. Yeah, it's not
to
the same.
wipe out the whole world, do a super Thanos, and re-implement it with all new and more perfected people in the sense.
Yeah, but do we believe he's a Kang variant though?
No, because Kang was much harder to beat.
Yeah, he
Than
was just
that.
more brutal, I'd say.
Yes.
And he knew how to fight too.
Yeah, he knew how to fight. Kang knew how to fight. I don't think that the high evolutionary.
He relied more on technology. But that being said, I will say his technology is very similar to Kang's. Like he could, especially with that explosion thing he did towards the end of the movie, where he wiped out his whole crew when they tried to double cross him.
Well, yeah. But at the same time, like, do you think the movie's ending was good enough to say this movie did phenomenal or ranked up next to or above Endgame?
I would know, but I will say the film was very satisfying ending.
Yes, I think that, but also, do you think all ties, except for the Star-Lord post-credits scene,
which we'll talk about later.
Yep, do you think that all, except for that, all ties to Nebula, Drax, Groot, Rocket, you think all those knots are tied up tight
I
and
would say
they're
for the
gone
most,
out of the way?
For the most part, yeah. Unless they want to bring him back for some whatever reason, sure. And that's another thing I want to bring up too. We have a bunch of new characters in this film. Most prominently, actually, before I get to that, Maria Baklova's Cosmo the space dog, who was, I believe, done a lot of with CG. I believe I could be wrong on that.
CGI?
Or the dog was real, but she was basically a robotically talking dog with levitation powers.
Yes.
It's a little confusing, but I'm not familiar with her that much. But she was good. She was good. And obviously, we forgot to mention that Sean Gunn was back as Kraglin, and the High Priestess from the Sovereign was back. I don't remember the actress. I think it's Elizabeth Debicki, I believe.
I think so too. I kind of like how.
But they wrapped her story up pretty good especially with Will Poulter's Adam Warlock, which was. I thought he could have been better, but he was very good.
So Adam Warlock is the gold guy?
The gold guy with the laser beams. He was on at the beginning of the film.
Yeah, I think that seeing that from the very second one and seeing a post-credit scene of the second one, which is insane to start off with, but then like going into the next is insane.
Yeah, I thought he definitely had his power levels are probably comparable to Captain Marvel, I'd say.
But at the same time, it was very clear that he was taken out of his cocoon
too early. They even stated that, I believe.
Yes. But do you think that he could have been more powerful if he was in the cocoon for even longer?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I think he could have been way more. He could have been Scarlet Witch powerful without the powers.
I think even more. Because think about this. If it was too early, he could have been out early and still have not enough abilities. He could be in late, still have even more abilities, and that kind of thing.
But I will also say, Adam Warlock in the comics is a critically important character, and he's incredibly powerful in the comics.
Yeah, do you think MCU did him justice if he's that big of a character in the next few movies?
Well, they said he's coming back. Well, they clearly stated that he's coming back, so I think this isn't his last rodeo, I will say that.
Yeah. But
and I think there's a lot of characters who are coming back. And speaking of also new characters, in the mid-credit scene, but we'll get to the post one in a sec. The mid-credit scene kind of subtly introduced us to another new member of the Guardians who is a major member of the comics, Phyla Vell. She was very young. She was a young girl who just joined the team, and she has, like, I guess, energy gauntlets? Something like that?
Maybe.
Yeah, but I'm not very familiar with her myself, but...
Like Miss Marvel vibes?
Not like Miss Marvel, but more like actual, like, Captain Marvel with both gauntlets, basically.
Yeah.
But, yeah, and she's actually turned out to be one of Drax's people, which is impressive.
I like how
they brought that back around, yeah.
Yeah, I still like how, if you think about it, you kind of always get the same character, just in a different variant. Like, for...
No pun intended.
Well, yeah, no pun intended, of course. But at the same time, like, think about it. Kraglin is kind of like
Yondu-
Star-Lord
and
in a way.
And Yondu
how he-
too.
Yeah, like he's kind of like a very big leader,
Yeah.
but he's also not the main leader.
And speaking of leader, I should also point this out. Rocket is now technically the leader of the Guardians now.
No, he is.
Yeah, that's what I'm
He-
saying. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
But do you think that they were sticking with the comics as well? Like, did Rocket ever take that next step to become the leader in the comics?
Not that I'm aware of.
So you think that at the end, from this point on, the Guardians saga in the comics would have been like out the window, and the rest of it will be more CGI, more movie based?
Well, I think the comics are a little bit more complicated than the movies, I will say.
Yeah.
But we need to talk about the comedy. Obviously, is okay. We need to talk about the comedy. We got to do this quickly, guys. So, comedy. What out of 10?
Comedy, I would say it would be 5, maybe 6.
Yeah, it was definitely a bit weaker than the other two, but
Yeah.
but I will say it was still enjoyable.
But again, like, remember that there's a lot of emotion, negative and somewhat positive, in between.
That is true. The action is incredible. That's
Yes.
a 10 because we see this one take sequence that is just top of the line.
Yes.
And the final battle is incredible and it's brutal. It's action packed.
Yep.
And the post credit scene, we're gonna get this done quickly. The post credit scene reveals that one of them is returning. Specifically,
Star-Lord.
the legendary Star-Lord will return
Who came...
back to Earth.
Yeah.
He's probably gonna come back in a series or a special. I'm gonna bet.
Yeah.
on. So, anything else, or is that it?
I think that's it, Spence.
All right. So, I guess we're gonna take a little break, and then we'll talk about our next bit of news. So, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. We are the cast of The Spectrum Show, and it's time for our second half of our Spectrum of Opinions discussion. And this time we will be talking about some recent news in the world of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, particularly the upcoming film and Disney Plus series releases, as well as Kevin Feige's determination to get Marvel Studios to San Diego Comic-Con this coming July. So let's get started. So I guess we got to start with the elephant in the room, with the next film that's coming out in November, or The Marvels. In other words, Captain Marvel 2.
Well, first of all, let's go back to very recent in terms of like the writers' strike. Do you think that'll affect Marvel in the way that everyone's saying it will be?
Not terribly, I don't think. I mean, maybe with the Phase 5, Phase 5's 2020, the rest of 2023 I think is fine. First half of 2024 should be fine. Everything after that is fly ball, basically.
So,
and I just want to acknowledge, we don't talk about these kind of topics regularly. This is just like, if it's necessary and it relates to the discussion, sure, we can make an exception.
Yeah. But, so, you think that Marvel is that advanced in terms of, like, they'll do it a year and a half advanced?
Well, I think because most of those projects are done is the thing, or almost done in some case.
Yeah. Plus, like, the majority, or, like, some of Marvel's work is also improvised. Like, in Ragnarok, they had the greatest line ever said that's debatable in a Marvel movie. He's a friend from work. That was actually a line that a young kid
from Make-A-Wish or something.
From Make-A-Wish, yeah, made up, and he was able to make the best line in the MCU. One of the best.
And also, it's worth noting, people tend to forget this, but Iron Man is one of the best films in Hollywood to actually not have a finished script. A lot of the stuff they were doing was ad-libbed and off the top of their heads. And that's why the film gets so much credit, is because it feels, to an extent, so human.
Right. I saw the behind the scenes of like how it was made, and I never heard that before. Why?
Well, because they pitched to 30 writers, and all of them rejected the script.
Oh, wow.
So Marvel was writing it kind of on the fly for the most part. But I think it is possible that they have a chance of making it through this.
Yeah.
But back to the original topic, we need to talk about something that actually, before we get to the Marvels, we need to talk about something that's coming, two things coming in June: Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse and Secret Invasion coming to Disney+.
Yeah.
So Spider-Verse, we've seen the footage. and Secret Invasion too, both look incredible.
Yes, but here's the real question. Do you think back when in Spider-Man's No Way Home, or in Spider-Man's Far From Home, do you think we're going to get a Spider-Man
From the MCU?
Not a Spider-Man from the MCU. Do you think there'll be another Spider-Man, or another Spider-Man appearance in that movie, or in that TV series? Because it was announced that they were Skrulls. They had this massive secret previously, and it was brought to light in its post-credit scene.
I don't think so, actually, because I honestly think that I think they already kind of discussed it in No Way Home, and it was kind of like, oh, they just blew over it, you know?
Yeah, but at the same time, if you go back and to Miss Marvel, not Miss Marvel, Captain Marvel.
Yeah, Captain Marvel.
Nick Fury's exact words were, "I cannot eat toast diagonally." Then if you go back even further to, again, a lot of things that tiny happened in Avengers Age of Ultron, you can see him eating toast horizontally like it's nobody's business.
Like, it was horizontally?
Yeah, it was cut horizontally.
You mean diagonally, you mean?
Diagonally across, like in the movie, said that originally he could not eat before.
Oh, I didn't even notice that, dude.
Yeah,
like, that's crazy.
I saw it on a YouTube short one, so it was insane to think about.
That is bizarre. So he could have been a Skrull since Avengers, possibly.
No, think about this. He could have always been a Skrull because
true.
the time where Miss Marvel last saw Nick Fury and the Skrulls were
Captain Marvel,
and they were in Earth, it was Captain Marvel was 1970, 1980s, maybe 1960s.
I think it was in the 90s. I believe it was Captain Marvel.
Maybe, because still, the first time we saw Nick Fury,
it was 1995. 1995.
Exactly, but still, that was our first real sighting of early stages of Nick Fury.
True.
So that means that he could have been a Skrull throughout the whole MCU up to this point, which would be an amazing turnaround from everything, all the decisions he made, disobeying the
government
in the first Avengers movie, to making
the Avengers so major, yeah.
Making the Avengers themselves, that could have been up to the Skrulls. We don't know,
Yeah, I mean, but Nick Fury does indeed exist, because this is the real Nick Fury we're gonna see in Secret Invasion.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if we're going to see Nick Fury and the Skrulls Nick Fury in one place, because
that's true, and
we've seen it before in other movies and other TV shows where there have been twins played by one person.
Yeah, we've seen him in Far From Home. WandaVision was a very recent one that happened. At the end, we saw the Skrull recruiting Monica to come up to see Nick Fury, probably, which probably was the one we'll see from Secret Invasion and in the Marvels, probably.
Well, Monica, I think, will be only in the Marvels because of her abilities. She's connected directly to Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
And her powers are energy-based.
Yeah, true.
So I think that will be mainly energy-based teams. So Captain Marvel,
Ms. Marvel, and Photon
or Spectrum. No pun intended. All three of those are on a team because they're all energy-based powers.
Yeah, and they have some kind of teleportation ability, I guess.
Well, no, I think that's only between Captain Marvel and Miss Marvel. I think
Monica was too, I believe, in the trailer.
I thought they only switched bodies once.
But they still technically have that ability, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, we need to talk about, and we can just say that Secret Invasion, we'll get to the Marvels in a sec, but Secret Invasion, stacked cast. Sam Jackson and Ben Mendelsohn, Emilia Clarke, Olivia Colman, who else? The list just goes on.
Yeah.
Martin Freeman, Don Cheadle is returning. It's Kobe Smulders. The list just goes on and on and on.
Yeah, but do you think that if you stack a cast with that much publicity, you think it'll become good? Or it depends on the writers. It depends on how it's produced. Not just because it's a stacked cast means that's going to be the best TV series ever. It's going to be what it has to get done with that stacked cast.
Well, to be fair, Secret Invasion of the comics is one of the biggest crossovers since Civil War, basically.
Well, yeah.
and and if you don't know what the Secret Invasion is about, by the way, we should have said this from the get-go. It's about the Skrulls invading every level of life on Earth, and it's a crazy storyline. And this was just when Brian Michael Bendis was just a writer from Marvel Comics, was going crazy. He was like, and this was like right after Civil War, even during World War Hulk. Actually, I believe this was happening, and it was like everything was crossing over with each other. It was crazy.
Yeah, but at the same time, like, there's going to be these tiny parts of it that you will never see.
That is true. Like, it's like a blink and you'll miss it sort of thing.
Exactly. Like with you and the Age of Ultron, you missed when he was having his toast died.
Yeah, I have to keep my head on a swivel with these
exactly,
shows.
because that's such a minor detail, but yeah, it's such a major one that Marvel probably thought, no one's going to catch this, but let's just add this in case.
Yeah.
So I think with that ingenuity, because is what makes Marvel so successful and why it will live on for hundreds, or not hundreds, but generation after generation after generation, as long as they have a cast to fall back on.
Exactly. And I will say that we need to go back to the original topic, obviously, but there's still plenty of more movies coming out this year. I mean, and we have Kraven the Hunter, which is going to be the first R-rated Sony Marvel film, so in Sony's kind of Spider-Man universe. I want to see that. It looks a little, I've heard a little bit of weird things about it, but...
Like what?
Well, it doesn't feel like Kraven, I'll say that much. So hopefully those can kind of make, it can make up for it with like good action and a good cast. And Aaron Taylor Johnson, who played Quicksilver in the MCU, he's playing Kraven, actually.
So we're going to have
a variant.
So it's a weird one because...
It's a variant, but not.
Because, not variant. It's weird because didn't he, like, make a cameo or try to make a cameo in WandaVision?
Not Aaron Taylor Johnson. No, that was Evan Peters.
Oh, okay.
There's who made a cameo from the Fox universe of X-Men.
I just thought that if they wanted to, they could have found somebody else for that role because
I agree.
If they found out, if like say for instance,
apparently they didn't know about that either. Apparently, which is bizarre to think about.
That he died off.
No, that he was already in the MCU.
Yeah, because they think about it this way, it's that they're so close. They're not close at all to figuring it out. They just go back like.
Who's good, basically.
Watch the freaking shows. Like, that's how much it tells you is that, like, how much Marvel knows about themselves.
Yeah, but this is
like,
Sony's film.
At the same time, like, Marvel is right there next to them.
True.
Kind of guiding them.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, no Marvel person came up to Sony saying, hey, Sony, sorry, we already have this guy in the MCU.
True.
You cannot use him. Like, if someone was wanting to do that, if Marvel was like, hey, let's help them out, they would have done that. They would have found somebody else early on before he even knew he was being spoke to about it.
That's fair. But let's get on to some newer stuff, actually, because we just got these announcements like a couple days ago, actually. Yeah. Loki Season 2 releases October 6th of 2023. And it's going to be a multi-episode drop, so like weekly basis. And I'm so hyped for Loki, honestly.
Yeah, I did not understand the first season entirely.
But it was very good.
Yeah, I hope that we get some clearing about certain things.
Especially because we saw Loki at the end of Quantumania.
We did?
Yeah, in the post-credit scene.
Oh, yeah, we did. I just hope that we can finally get, like, some closure on that.
Yeah, because Kang is still out there, technically. We don't know.
Yeah, and I think that if we wanted to, we could possibly see a Loki, Ant-Man, and the Wasp bridge because they were both kind of like
directed to Kang, basically.
Directed to Kang, yeah. Because like, say for instance that like they go through these shows, and Loki's job is to collect a team or collect a big group of people.
Oh, that would be awesome.
From all their multiverses and other places to help save their universe and help save and stop this massive thing from happening.
We guarantee that's not going to happen because we have to wait till Avengers to see that.
Well, I think that if they start forming it, back when
It could be a multiversal team,
Exactly.
like Doctor Strange, Wanda, Ant-Man and Wasp,
maybe some reincarnations, like a version
of Tony or Cap or
Tony. I think Tony Stark would make an amazing
surprise.
person. Amazing, not a surprise. He's actually posted recently on his social media and other social medias
As an RDJ.
as an RDJ. He wanted them to kind of go, okay, do you want to see what? A Sherlock Holmes movie, Sherlock Holmes 3 or Iron Man 4? And then he followed up with that saying, should I make Iron Man 4? And I saw the majority of the comments saying, yes, go for it.
I wouldn't
He
be
was great
surprised.
at it. But I think because of what he said in the past, like,
Marvel
interviews?
probably saw that.
yeah, I think that what they'll do is like bring him in for like, an episode, then all for like an episode or X amount long.
Yeah.
But then I think he'll see Marvel will go to Tom Cruise saying, "Hey, who I think they should have picked originally, because back when in 2004, I think, or 2004 when the first Iron Man movie came out, it would have been a much better casting for him because of his aerial perspective and because of already his movies done in the air and in like military type movies like Iron Man was from the
Preston.
get-go.
Are you saying Robert Downey Jr. should have never been Iron Man?
I'm saying that RDJ was a risky move that
Paid off.
Marvel could have avoided by getting Tom Cruise, because he was also in his prime when this movie came out, or he's past his prime when the first Iron Man movie came out.
You sinner.
I'm not trying to...
You were going to get so much flack for that.
I'm not trying to get anything negative. I'm not. I'm just saying that
We need
if
people in
he
the
wanted
comments
to.
saying how much of a wuss this guy is for saying Tom Cruise would have been a better Iron Man than Robert
I'm
Downey
not saying
Jr.
he would be a better one. I'm saying he would have been the more safer idea for what we're going to do. If Marvel wanted
Not
to
true.
come if Marvel wanted a safe Iron Man, they would have picked Tom Cruise because he was in his prime. He was a great person when it came down to wiring because he knew this stuff because he was doing it in Mission Impossible. Like, he has that technical information already set. He just needed the crew and the people behind him to do it, because Tom Cruise would have been amazing age-wise in any sort of Marvel movie he would be in. But I also think that he would make it an amazing variant because he does look like RDJ in a lot of ways, like body type, age, stuff like that.
The variant I could agree with you on, but I will say, why am I even talking to you right now about this? It's
Iron
like-
Man is my favorite character, no doubt. I love Iron Man. I love who he is. I love the way his Iron Man suit is built. I just think that if they put like 5 more weeks, 5 more days into casting, they would have said, hey, let's go look at people in their prime. Let's look at people like away from just the Ray to get them back, people back from like the grave who are like RDJ, who is like a known person to deal with drugs, but he was never actually in anything major beforehand. Like a lot of Marvel other actors and actresses all had something major, like Scarlet Witch. She was
Elizabeth Olsen.
who was in Full House, the sitcom beforehand, that did really well and that people adored. That as she grew, she kept doing roles. She kept with the industry. She kept grinding. She worked hard. Who else?
Moving past
There's
that,
a lot more characters.
There certainly
like
is,
this.
but I will say, we have gone completely off on a tangent. I am so sorry about that.
I'm sorry. I don't know why I made that saying If I said that offended anybody, I know that I went off on a big tangent.
And you're going to get a lot of flack for it, I guarantee
I
you.
know I will. I
And-
hate that I will
But
too.
let's just go over the release dates so we can get this over with quickly.
Yes,
because
please.
So Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse comes out June 2nd this year. These are all 2023 dates. I should point this out. Secret Invasion starts streaming on Disney Plus June 21st. None of this is sponsored, by the way. Then I think October 6th is when both Kraven the Hunter and Loki Season 2 starts streaming
Fun.
on Disney Plus. And then November 11th, we've got The Marvels, which is going to be released in theaters. And finally, on November 29th, Echo, which is a Hawkeye and Daredevil spinoff. We are all of the episodes, so the whole first season, and it's probably going to be a one and done.
Yeah.
It's going to be releasing on November 29th of this year. So all the episodes are dropping on that year, which is insane.
And do you think that we're going to see Clint Barton and Kate Bishop team up together with
Echo?
Echo and with Daredevil? Or do you think they will be independently sourced? Because when we first saw the ending of Hawkeye, they were together. They formed a duo that is very good and very strong.
I think Kate will return. Daredevil will definitely be there. I don't know about Clint. I think he's going to be taking a little break for now. So, anything else before we wrap this up?
I think you covered everything for the summer, Spence, other than
A couple holiday things, too.
holiday stuff, but that's not that close. We're talking about summer into fall.
All right, so I think we're about done here. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll wrap up this episode. We'll see you in a bit, folks. Thank you all so much for joining us on another episode of The Spectrum Show, as we had a lot of fun making this one. Also, I apologize if I was coughing a lot this episode. Recovering from allergies, so there really wasn't much I can do about that. Also, we have a really exciting announcement to make. You don't even know about this, by the way. Okay? We are incredibly excited to announce that starting this coming Wednesday, May 24th, we will be starting our first ever mini-series within this pilot season, and it will officially be called Summer of Spectrum. We are so excited to be sharing this with all you, and tune in this coming Wednesday at 3:45 p.m. Eastern time, as we will start the Summer of Spectrum with a live stream on YouTube where the Spectrum Show cast will be reacting live to the 2023 PlayStation Showcase. We look forward to sharing more Summer of Spectrum details with you in the coming weeks, as we'll be going on until the end of August. And I also should point out, you should check out Preston's channel, Autism Student Life. So
so it'll be mainly filled as coming out this summer, and I'm really excited for it because it's my way of giving back to a community that I've had to deal with all my life.
Well, you say it like that, but
it's not. I don't like to think of it as. I don't think anybody should think of any bad anything like their disease, any mental disorders as a weakness. I think it should be a strength instead of a weakness.
Damn right, Preston.
So that's what the base of my YouTube channel will be about. So check it out if you guys want to. You guys don't have to, but if you want to see me and Spencer working together again, that'll be where I'll be at. So without further ado,
I will say this, and definitely I'll put his link in the description when that time comes. So we hope to see you all next week, and until then, good night,
everybody.